Madam Vilma, Reflections, the 9th of October 2018.
Right, Vilma, in the last video you were saying that Plymouth has changed.
Yes, it has changed quite a bit. I mean, Plymouth is a beautiful city. I mean, it's in walking distance of the countryside. It's in walking distance of the sea.
Yeah.
I don't think that we appreciate it so much when we live here. And I don't think the council does it justice either.
Yeah.
Because I think they could do a hell of a lot more for holidaymakers here.
Well, where do you think they're going wrong? Because you're talking about...
Yeah, and a lot of things. There's not enough for holidaymakers to do, because the days are not always sunny.
Yes.
So when it's we get miserable weather, it's, there's not enough for holidaymakers to do, and I don't think the Barbican is promoted enough.
Yeah.
And the Barbican has changed quite a bit. It's all sort of restaurants, pubs, takeaways and whatever. And we're losing all the unusual little shops and interesting things, that was there many years ago.
From what I've seen, or what I feel, is that the infrastructure is not in place to bring people into the city.
That's right.
Which is in a roundabout sort of ways what you're saying.
Yeah, that's right.
Because there's some very good shops that
Yeah.
can't stay in the Barbican. They get into the first tax year, and then they have to go because they can't afford to stay here any longer.
That's
and that's the whole reason I've not set up in the Barbican.
Yeah. People just can't afford to run a business because everything is so expensive.
Well, I was talking to a Labour councillor, sorry to put in, but I was talking to a Labour councillor the weekend before last, and he was telling me, well, it's the same everywhere and everything's gone online. But I'm going to put my bit in now. I think that if they promoted the sort of pirate history of Plymouth in the Barbican and made it a swashbuckling area to be in, so it touches people's imaginations.
That's it.
Because down in St Austell you've got the Eden Project,
which
is in a slate quarry or a quarry where there's nothing happening before, and they get people from all over the world going to the Eden Project. And that's where the council is going wrong in the city, from what I'm saying. Whether it's self-interest or not, I don't know, because they could have put the infrastructure in place many years ago.
Exactly.
Because Plymouth has got the history here, but it's all getting forgotten about.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, do you want to carry on with your views?
Yeah, and I think, the people of Plymouth are very... the majority, we'll say, are very obliging, and we sort of try and look after Plymouth and look after other people within the city. Would you agree with me if I say a lot of people in Plymouth seem tense and frustrated at the moment? They are, and a lot of depression and mental health. Yeah. And it's basically because they've got no money. Yes. We seem to have gone back, Chris, and like 100 years. And the council is fining everybody for the slightest thing as well. I know. So you've got people in poverty. Yeah. It's like, I was talking to... And they're just trampling on them even more. Well, I was talking to somebody on benefits last week, and he'd just been picked up by the Litter Police, and they'd given him an £80 fine for dropping his cigarette end whilst he was going to a course for labouring, which was to try and get him into a better job situation. Yeah. So he was incredibly frustrated. Yeah. But the thing is, all these people... all the people in authority in Plymouth see things from a different point of view, and they think they're right, and then you've got people in our situation that see things from another point of view because we're all struggling. Yes. And our point of view is right as well. So it's a catch-22. Yeah. I think they don't live in the real world, these people. Well, they certainly don't. And these people with massive big bank accounts, And then demanding just, more, like Tudor Evans saying that they deserve more. Yeah. What about the ordinary people who can't afford to feed their children? Yeah. Children hungry, going to school with nothing inside them. Yeah. No warmth in the house. Well, I mean, it said on the television during the last couple of days that there's the children in the UK are some of the most poverty-ridden children in Europe. Yes. And this is before we go to Brexit. Yes. So the infrastructure is totally wrong at the moment anyway. It is. And a pensioner is struggling. Yeah. Should I eat today or put on a bit of heating? Yeah. Nobody's giving us anything. Yeah. They're just putting our bills up so
that's
the
the way-
rich get richer, the poor get poorer.
Well, that's the power base of the UK, is the financial wealth of the UK.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is dirty money anyway, because
Yeah.
when we're building machines for the Arabs, armoury for the Arabs, and certain areas of the country are relying on totally the money from the Arabs on blood money, I think it's absolutely horrendous in the 21st century. So anyway, what was Plymouth like when you were young?
We didn't have a lot. I mean, we were still sort of poorish, and
Yeah.
people had to work hard.
Uh-huh.
My father worked in the dockyard. Wages weren't high.
Yeah.
But we managed. He would not allow my mother to go to work because that was a way in the old day.
Yeah.
You know, Mum stayed at home to bring up the children, do the cooking and light the fire, you know, so yeah, a big difference. Now you've got two parents out to work, which brings in a bit more money,
Yeah.
but they're still struggling.
Yeah.
I never went hungry. We
Yeah.
didn't have a lot, but
Yeah.
I never went hungry. And nowadays, you get two parents out to work.
You're just a machine for
And-
the system, basically.
Yeah, and they spend no time with their kids, so that is causing aggravation in the younger ones because they've got no structure
And they're getting
in their
neglected
life.
or being.
Yes.
They're not learning the common rules of the parents to
That's
be
right.
taught properly.
Yeah,
And then and then when you get a lot of poverty, you get a lot of destruction within families as well.
yeah,
So the children become destructive very young.
yes.
You
yeah.
know, where there's a great drug problems within young people in
That's
Plymouth
right,
as well. You know.
because no one is there to control them
Yeah.
or give them the love
Or
they
the
need
advice.
or advice.
You know.
And you know, I get all walks of life in here
Yeah.
when I'm doing the cards, and people do not come in here unless they've got a problem usually,
Yeah.
and they want to know what's in the future. And 9 times out of 10, they come in with tears in their eyes,
They're anxious.
anxious,
Looking for an answer.
depressed, looking for answers. And you know, it's just all wrong now. It's just all wrong.
Yeah.
I feel I used to be very proud to be British,
Well, that's what.
and now I think,
But I mean,
what is going on?
Well, people think I'm anti-British, but I'm brought up in this country, and
Yes.
but I've seen so much going on. And then when I lived abroad for 3 years and saw how people treated each other abroad, where they still have family values and being happy is more
Yes.
important than being a machine for the
Yeah.
system. But without going back to what I said at the beginning, you know, without the wealth in the UK is nothing, because that's what puts it on the world stage.
Yeah.
And so everybody in the UK more or less has become a machine for producing the money for the rich, like you said.
That's it.
Um,
And you know, the television, you sit down every night and watch that, and they talking about poverty here and abroad, and want us to put our hands in our pockets
Yeah.
when we've got nothing ourselves.
Yeah.
Why can't these rich footballers and everybody else who earn millions,
Yeah.
why can't they
£30,000 a week or more.
Yes. Why can't they donate some of their wages to
Yeah.
feed the world?
Yeah.
You know, they don't need all that money.
No.
I don't care who they are. They don't need that.
So what was the social life like in Plymouth when you were young?
It was good, yeah. There was lots of dance halls.
Yeah.
I used to love to dance.
Uh-huh.
So there was always something
And
for
you-
teenagers to do.
And you were always wearing trendy clothes. 'Cause
Yes.
during the last few years, you've just sold a lot of your collection off.
Yes, I did, yes. Got rid of it. I'm too old now. But yes, and we had nice times. We were brought up properly,
Yes.
if you like.
Well, even though I was brought up
And
by
we
single
lived by
parents, I was brought up
Yes.
with rules, and I was brought up to learn to respect people.
Yes.
But the more I gave respect to other people and their word as gospel and mine was insignificant, then the more I was walked over. And
That's
it's only in later life that I actually started standing up for myself.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I was a total wimp
Well,
when I was younger.
children in the old days, you know, really, they were seen but not
Not
heard.
Yeah, the old
That was
saying.
the thing.
Yeah,
And
so they couldn't stretch their
yeah,
brains.
and even as a teenager, when I was going to work and everything else, my father and mother still laid down the law.
Yeah.
You will be in this house at 10 o'clock. And if I wasn't,
Yeah.
my goodness me, that was me finished for a week.
Yeah.
I was kept in,
Yeah.
you know. So, but children don't seem to have those rules now, and teenagers, they just do as they want.
Yeah.
And I go into town sometimes, and I'm sad to hear young girls and young boys swearing at their parents,
Yeah.
cursing,
Can
you
I?
know, and I think, oh God,
Yeah.
that's bad.
And then if the parents do
No
anything,
respect.
they get into trouble.
Yeah.
You know, too much power is now being given to the children.
Yeah.
And they can use that as a tool over adults, which shows a total reversal of everything.
Same as places now.
Yeah.
They can't do their job anymore because they're just laughed at.
Yeah, well, I mean...
You know, a lot of these kids got no respect for anyone because they've they've never been taught that.
Yeah, no, but no offence, if the police want to get respect, then they've got to abide by the laws themselves. And not be a law unto themselves and throw the weight around.
You know, they've got no rules. It's a lawless country now.
There
is no rules.
I think if Brexit...
Our laws are antiquated.
Well, I think if Brexit fails, there could be a total social breakdown.
Yes.
Very quickly.
I fear it.
Because I think we're very close to that now.
Yeah.
So, what did you used to do at the nightclubs in Plymouth?
Well, it was dance halls then, more than nightclubs when I was young. So, yes, we had lots of dance halls. We had sort of the local things in the schools, the local hops, you know, where we danced in our areas. There was always something going on. And, you know, there was lots of cinemas where we went, you know, and we made a lot of fun. We used to go blackberry picking and primrose picking. You're not even allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's all changed. And bluebell picking, I mean...
You've got to have risk assessments on everything.
Oh, well, yeah, the law seems to be on the wrong type of things.
But it seems to be a very UK thing, because I don't see that in Europe.
No.
Even at the festivals in
Europe. You
Europe.
can't go in,
you know, a lot more open.
Yeah, you get sort of wildflowers and, don't pick them, you know.
Yeah.
It's you would be fined if you do go and pick them, etc., etc. And I think, God, what about the murderers out there?
Yeah.
The rapists walking around.
Yeah.
And because they've got low prison sentences.
Yeah. There's no incentive anymore.
No,
but,
there's no value on life.
I think it's the petty things that seem to become more serious.
Yeah.
And you get criminalised more for the petty things than the real dangerous things.
Well, that's it.
But I mean, like I was saying before, well, if we're selling arms to places like, I know it's getting political, but if we're relying on the UK economy selling arms to Iran, if we're relying on the UK economy to sell arms to Arabs, that killing thousands of people all over the world, then how can we have any value on human life at all?
Well, exactly.
And you know, or dictate to other people the value on human life.
Well, I think the law should be now we should feed the world, not sell arms to the world.
I agree totally, and work together.
Because I don't believe in war, and I don't believe in fighting. It takes one man on his say-so to start a war, and then thousands and millions of people die.
Yeah.
And that's not right.
Well, it's also politics changes overnight.
Yes.
So what's important one day, or is trendy one day, isn't in 2 or 3 years' time.
No.
And there's always two sides to every story as well.
Yeah, they change like the wind, all of them, don't they?
Yeah.
And you never get any answers.
Yeah.
Even when they knock on your door and expect you to vote for them, you ask them a question, you won't get an answer.
It's like the politician I was talking to in Plymouth, or the councillor I was talking to in Plymouth two weeks ago. They're so set in their ways and so much thinking that they're right that they don't listen to other people anyway. I can understand it to a certain extent, where you've got so many different opinions coming in and you've got to pick and choose which ones you're going to agree with. And what they agree with will relate to what they know in life and their conditioning as well. And that's getting into some form of psychology.
Yeah.
So a lot of people's views won't be listened to for that reason.
No, that's
because
right.
it's like, siphoning out the information.
It's like we are forgotten about, I watched some politician on the television at the weekend said, sort of, well, why is this woman living in poverty? There's plenty of jobs out there.
Yeah.
She's a single mother.
Yeah.
And she's got 2 children.
Oh, that's easy said than done,
How
isn't
the
it?
hell can she go to work
Yeah.
and give those children the love and mothering they need at a very young age?
Yeah.
And even when, another thing is that when you get mothers going to work, they're earning a living, trying their best to support, but they're not earning enough to
Yeah.
feed their family, pay the bills.
Yeah.
There's not enough money,
Yeah.
especially down this end of the world. We are all struggling,
But
and it's wrong.
that's another point. You know, people keep on saying that the Southwest finishes at Bristol and Exeter.
Yes.
And I don't see any reason why that is in this day and age,
No.
because we've had many years that the infrastructure could have been put in place
Yeah.
to make it work.
Yeah.
And so that tells me it's in the interest of a small amount of people for the Southwest still to be cut off, because
Yeah.
we've still got a political and legal system which is out of tune to what's going on further up the country.
Well,
or
I
in
don't
London.
think. The other thing is, Chris, I don't think they talk to people enough, ordinary people like ourselves. You know, like Christmas time here and things like that. They expect us to put on a show, put up your own lights, put up your own Christmas trees in the street and whatever. Where is all the money going that we're paying in, and we have paid into for donkey's years to
Yeah.
the council? Where is that council money all going?
Well, I was talking.
Because they don't mend the roads, they don't do the gardens.
Yeah.
That's all been stopped. They don't go out and prune the trees anymore.
Right, so I was talking to this, like I said, this councillor 2 weeks ago about the art scene in Plymouth, because I'm frustrated
Yeah.
for the fact there's no money in the arts.
No.
And they say they pump all this money into the arts, but it seems to be very one-sided, and it seems to be spread too thin. And they're not looking at where it's going properly, because the Arts Centre's collapsed.
Yes.
That's run out of funding, and that's been closed all summer. And then Ocean Studios, which is the other art centre up in the Royal William Yard, went bankrupt within 2 years, and millions of pounds was pumped into that.
Exactly.
And we're going back to the state of the infrastructure of nobody spends money in Plymouth, and it's not just.
No, when they
and
do.
you can't blame the internet for
Well,
it, because
when-
if you go into other towns, the money is being spent.
Yeah, and when they put up these buildings, you know, it annoys me that these buildings, whatever they are, cost millions to put up. They're either lying empty for years,
Absolutely.
or they've got concrete cancer or something, and they've got to take them all down
Yeah.
and then rebuild again. To me, that don't make sense.
Yeah.
And I'm not a builder,
Yeah.
but to me, they just use our money willy-nilly.
Well, it's like the
It's not
civic.
their money, it's ours.
Well, it's like the civic centre.
Shouldn't we be
The
asked?
civic centre is supposed to be riddled with cancer from the top,
Yes.
concrete cancer from
Yes.
the top down.
Yeah.
And I was talking to this councillor 2 weeks ago, and they said they were going to put rendering on the outside, even though they don't own it anymore.
Yeah.
It's now run by Urban Splash, or been taken over by
Yeah.
Urban Splash, so they passed the book on to somebody else.
Oh, well,
To
pass
take
the book
it-
is
to
always
take it.
right, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and it's also like Plymouth Airport as well, you know. If-
Yes,
if it
we
didn't work-
needed that airport.
Yeah.
We really needed an airport in Plymouth. You know, families are scattered now, and people have got jobs elsewhere outside the city because there's not enough money down here. So people work in London or Birmingham or Manchester. They needed that plane.
Yeah,
I used it quite a bit because my son won't live in Plymouth. There's not enough money. He lives in Newcastle,
yeah,
and he's up there. So I'd like to go up and see my grandchildren.
Yeah.
You know, now there's nothing.
yeah.
There's nothing. Everything is.
It's especially during the last 3 years,
Yes.
since it became totally student oriented, because
Yes.
the city actually collapses in the summer now.
Yes, I've got nothing against the students.
Well, I
nothing
like the
against-
diversity.
Wonderful.
I like the diversity of students.
Yes, and it's lovely to have them here, and
Yeah.
they spend money, and they're lovely children,
You need a
most
mi-
of them.
You need a mixture.
But we do need, not for them not to be to be top of the list all the time.
Yeah,
You know, what about the children in infant schools, secondary modern schools that are hungry?
yeah,
You know, so a little bit of money for them would be good.
yeah. And
Excuse me.
And all the new buildings that are going up, which is what we talk about, most of that is student accommodation, and above all the shops in the city centre is student accommodation as well.
Yes.
So it's a massive overload at the moment, and they've had problems with getting students into university in Plymouth this year as well.
Yeah.
And that would tell me that, from what I get, the opinion I get, it's an all or nothing city.
Yeah.
At one time it was all clubs and pubs.
Yeah.
And then when the high criminal rate came in related to that with the drug pushes and what have you, and so they got all that under control now, and then it became restaurants and cafes, and then they started going to the wall because there's too many in Plymouth.
Yeah.
And now it's the student accommodation blocks. It's an overload of student accommodation, and the city collapses in the summer. And we're having problems with students this year.
Yeah.
An overload because they're not coming in.
No.
So it's causing all sorts of problems in the city because an awful lot of money is being invested in the property, but people aren't spending in the city because there aren't the people here to spend.
But there we go. We could talk about it forever, Chris, but we get no answers, do we?
I think everything. There's got to be new. Like I said,
we need new blood everywhere.
Well, we definitely need new blood in the political system across the board.
Yes.
Oh, what's this about Boris Johnson again?
Oh, yes.
Well, the last one.
Yeah. Dear old Boris. Yes, he was down here and walking through the Barbican, and he asked me to tell his fortune, which I wouldn't do, because in here we charge £20, and seeing he's got so much money, I thought, well, we'll ask him for 50.
Yeah.
And it can go to charity.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't pay up, he had no money.
They soon walked off, didn't when you
Yes, he did.
He didn't listen.
Yes, and I started to talk to him, and he soon disappeared. And when I said that about pensioners and people who are hungry and poverty and things, oh no, he didn't want to know about that. So I think he had a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
And I did say to him, oh, you'll probably change sides yourself. But he hasn't changed sides. But on the other side, I could see all this trouble happening around him without even giving him a reading. So any of you politicians who want a reading, give us a ring. Perhaps you'd do yourself some good if I could give you a reading, because I tell you all where you're going.
So what would you like to see happen in Plymouth for the future?
Yes, more money put into the city, more concentration on it being promoted more, especially the Barbican. I'd like to see people in homes instead of on the street living, because that's got more and more. And I'd like to see...
And like you said, there's lots of dormant accommodation across the city.
That's right. And so why aren't they there?
Last winter, when it was really bad, they put them in the derelict Palace Theatre.
Yeah.
And that was full of damp and rot and all sorts of things.
And do the city up. Spend some money on it.
Yeah.
Spend some money, make it look good, and promote it more.
Well, they say
and then the shops may be able to afford the rent and survive.
Sorry to open up the conversation again, but they'd say, well, where's the money coming from? Well, I think if they turn Plymouth into a theme city with a sense of adventure, then you'd start getting in the tourists. When you start getting in the tourists, you start bringing in the money. At the moment, there's nothing to inspire people to come into the city. When you've got, I'm going to go to Scott's Memorial in a minute and record Scott's Memorial, which has become run down, and the paint's coming off it, and it looks a mess, and that's why I'm going to record it.
Yeah.
And if that's the way the council respect the history of Plymouth, then it tells a lot. A lot.
That's it. They expect us not to throw rubbish in the street, which is right.
Yeah.
But it's about time they did their bit and cheered up the city a bit.
And
put some paint on the buildings.
It's an Atlantic city, so it should be a happy place to be.
Yeah, it should be. We've got everything here.
Yeah.
We've got the sea and all the ships and, so much they could do.
Yeah.
And we've got beautiful countryside in the moors.
Like nowhere else, everything's so compact in such a small area.
Yeah.
You've got waterfalls in Plymouth Bridge, which is 20 minutes away on a bike, and then you've got the long rolling sands in Whitsun Bay, which is another half an hour to an hour away.
You wouldn't find better anywhere in the world.
No, only the weather.
Yeah, only the weather. And we can't change that, so I can't blame that on anyone.
No, you can't blame that on the politicians.
No, that's about the only thing I don't blame on them.
Yeah. Right, thanks a lot. It's been nice talking to you. Vilma.
And you.
Cheers. Take care.
Yes.
Thank you.
And can I just say before you go, let me give you a reading. Come on in. If I can forecast Boris Johnson's demeanours.
So
I can certainly do yours.
Is it 21 Southside Street, the Barbican?
27.
27 Southside Street, the Barbican.
Yes.
And the telephone number's just coming up now. Thank you.
Lovely.
Thanks to Madam Vilma, the Barbican, Plymouth. That's in Southside Street on the left-hand side at the far end. Telephone Plymouth 01752 246 988 or on mobile 07890 556692. This has been a Chris Summerfield video 2018. Subscribe to me. Contact me at ccsphoto12@hotmail.com, and if you can help to sponsor my videos, you can PayPal me at ccsPhoto1@gmail.com. Thanks for watching the video. It's a lifestyle.